Welcome back, and now we want to send it over to One America's Trey Yingst, who is at the White House with Deputy Press Secretary Lindsey Walters. Hi, Trey.
That's right. I'm here at the White House with Deputy Press Secretary Lindsey Walters. Lindsey, thank you so much for joining us today. I'd like to begin by talking a little bit about the news of the day. Obviously, last night, the New York Times and the Washington Post reporting that the sitting Attorney General Jeff Sessions had contact with the Russian ambassador during the Trump campaign. How is the White House responding to these reports?
This is the latest attack on the Trump administration by a partisan Democrat. Attorney General Jeff Sessions made clear that he did not have any contact with a Russian official in his capacity as a campaign surrogate. His contact with the ambassador was an official capacity as a member of the Senate Armed Services Committee, which is entirely consistent with his testimony.
And in talking about these lawmakers on Capitol Hill, obviously there's a lot of news coming out of Capitol Hill this week. President Donald Trump giving a joint address to Congress back on Tuesday. I understand you were here at the White House when the president returned. Can you tell me a little bit about what he said behind the scenes here? Was he excited? Did he feel that it went well? I know CNN is reporting that 76% of people who watched the speech thought it was positive.
On Tuesday night, we saw the president that all of us here working at the White House believe in and have been working countless hours for and have seen, and that the American people voted for. We saw a president who talked about optimism and what he was going to do to work with the members on the Hill in order to enact legislation, to put his bold agenda forward. And when he came back, it was obviously a very positive evening. The reception was very warm and welcoming on both sides of the aisle. The president, you saw not even in the media giving him credit for the speech that he had given and talking directly to the American people. And the president then went on to meet with GOP leaders yesterday here at the White House to talk about enacting his agenda and repealing and replacing Obamacare and putting in a patient-based health system that will, increase access and bring down costs and improve healthcare outcomes as well as immigration. He's made it clear that we need to have immigration reform and infrastructure and a booming economy.
What do you think is going to be the most difficult part? Obviously, there's still a bit of tension on Capitol Hill following the election. Democrats during the joint address, a few of them giving a thumbs down to President Donald Trump when he was talking about repealing and replacing Obamacare. How's the president looking to bridge that gap between the Republicans and the Democrats there on the Hill?
The president has taken time to listen to the individuals who are affected by this daily, day in and day out. You've seen the listening sessions he's hosted here at the White House, bringing in CEOs and individuals who are affected by Obamacare and getting what they think, those who are on the front line, hearing what they believe needs to happen, what we need to put in place to have a more patient-based care system, one that will lower the cost and that will give more individuals health care and an opportunity to have choice. And that is something that he's been very clear. And not only has he talked about what he wants to do, he's also listened to what those who are on the front lines dealing with the healthcare crisis every day want to enact.
And I want to talk a little bit about immigration. Obviously, this was a major topic in President Donald Trump's speech on Tuesday night. Are we still expecting to see some sort of executive order on immigration when it comes to the visa suspension program and the suspension of the refugee program, developing a vetting process? Is this something we can expect to see this month? I know there's been a little bit of back and forth between the administration and lawmakers and the judicial branches about trying to figure out where this executive order fits in constitutionally. Is this something we can expect to see in March?
This executive order, it's something we laid out at the beginning. We said we were going to have a second one coming out. I'm not going to get ahead of the president on what the timing will be or what's in that executive order, but I can tell you that it's a top priority of the president's to ensure that the American people are safe and that this country is safe. And these are steps he's taking to ensure that and to make positive that we are going to be safe as a country. And so he's doing everything in his power to put in place the executive orders legislation that we need to have in order to make that a reality. And immigration is an important thing to him. And you look at many countries who have a merit-based immigration system, it's not uncommon to want or to think that those who are coming into this country should be able to sustain themselves and that it shouldn't be, our most vulnerable who are being affected by this.
And then finally, I want to talk a little bit about infrastructure and the budget. Obviously, the president laying out a $1 trillion plan over the course of his administration here in the next 4 years. Where is this funding going to come from? Do you feel that lawmakers on Capitol Hill are going to give the president the funding and appropriations that he needs to make sure this infrastructure project, a huge infrastructure project, actually takes place?
I do. We're in the early stages of this process going through. Again, we've had these listening sessions. We've brought in individuals to figure out what exactly needs to take place. What do we need to do to better our infrastructure, to grow our economy? And so the president is in those early stages. You saw the meeting yesterday. He's been having meetings. Our staff's been having meetings with members on the Hill to start that conversation, the ball rolling towards being able to, invest in infrastructure today and to really boost our economy.
Thank you so much for your time,
Thank
Lindsay.
you for having me.
There you have it, Deputy Press Secretary for President Donald Trump, Lindsay Walters. Back to you in the studio.